This is your place for all things Grand Rapids Griffins and all things Toledo Walleye. This is the Hockeytown West podcast with your hosts, Brandon Cook, Nick Harrington, and Travis Foch.
Well, last week we said going into this upcoming stretch of home games that these were really important for Grand Rapids. And you look at the first two out of the All-Star break against Texas. It's the last two regular season games against Texas with the opportunity to hold the team that knocked you out of the playoffs last year to one win against you this season. And the team does it, which I know for them, it's like, whatever, playoffs is playoffs. For us as fans, suckers, we beat you almost every game, dropped 10 on you in one game, shut you out a couple times. It was a good time. That felt good for me. I know it felt good for you. And welcome back, everyone, to the Hockeytown West podcast, your source for everything Grand Rapids Griffins and Toledo Walleye hockey. We're back fresh off the All-Star game, first couple games after the All-Star break. It's been a whirlwind of the last 7 days for us, but I'll check in with Nick here first. How you doing, buddy? You adjusted back to the Eastern time zone after being in Rockford for 3 days?
The legs are heavy, as the boys said this weekend. Yeah.
The eyelids are heavy.
The eyelids are heavy. The schedule was crazy. Trying to stay up with the U2 animals over the week. And then, took a mid-afternoon nap that kind of threw off my entire schedule. So glad to have gone. Honestly, glad to have gone. And then, gained so much out of it and looking forward to next year's for sure. It's crazy. Let's finish out the second half of the season,
Yeah, we're here. We're at the second half. And we're definitely past. But in terms of the All-Star break being the midway point, we're in the second half of the season. We're in the dark jersey at home territory, which, we don't love because those jerseys are hard to read from the press box sometimes. But hey, we live with it. That is a thing in the AHL. If you didn't know, they swap the home jersey color midway through the season right after the All-Star break. So news for you guys. As we jump into this, though, we want to announce one thing. We had a company reach out to us, A Million Podcasts, which they kind of track podcast listeners, I guess. I don't know. I didn't look into it too fully, but they reached out because they added us to some lists, and these lists kind of blew our minds. So we have to say thank you to y'all, because when you look in the territory of top 20 best Detroit Red Wings podcasts, which, we don't talk about the Wings a lot, but obviously we talk about the whole system. We ended up 6th on that list behind some big names when you're talking podcasts. Obviously, the Wing Wheel podcast is the biggest Red Wings podcast, so obviously they were number 1 on the list. Ozzy and Keats, number 2, that's a big one. Grindline ahead of them or behind them. Red Wings Rant, a couple more, but us at 6th there was huge. Then we went to the American League one, which I didn't know they even tracked this, top 20 American League ones. We were 4th on that list, and we're surrounded by podcasts that are run by teams. We're run by ourselves. We do this on our free time, and which is crazy to us how much time we spend on it because it doesn't feel like free time. But at the same time, to be on that list surrounded by shows that are run by teams, to be one of the top independently run AHL podcasts was shocking to us. So thank you to Million Podcasts for sending that list out to us. We wanted to make sure we gave them some flowers on that because it kind of just gave us a little, not ego boost, but a boost of at least we know what we're kind of doing, I guess.
It's crazy, when I saw it was in our junk box. So I was going through and I'm looking at it and I was like, what is this? So I'm clicking it. And I'm like, holy crap. We're actually, not doing too bad, it was surprising to see how high we were up in the Red Wings organization for on the list of those. Kudos to Grindline. We've been partnered with them before, and Red Wings Rant. They're in Ignite the Nest with us. Obviously, Wing Wheel Podcast are going to be the top ones. Provide great content all the time, and a lot of comments I see is it's always people listen to them and then they listen to us right after. Very cool on that end. And then when you flip it to the AHL. And this is something that I had researched before we started, and as we were going, who's out there? Because how do we structure this and how do we do this? And to see all these teams have theirs up there and us doing it unsupervised, put out the content and the stuff that we do, it's fantastic. It was a huge boost to us to, coming from the All-Star game and seeing the other media people that were there and them just looking at us and the amount of content that we did put out, you put out, Brandon, it was insane. We crushed it for the All-Star weekend for the you may have put out more than the organization. I don't know.
It's not a race to put out more. I just know they have guardrails and we don't. So I try to make sure the fans can see as much as they possibly can. And that's what it's about. Like, we wouldn't be on those lists without you folks listening and tuning into this every week. Really, it's not a thank you to us. It was just reassurance to us, but it's a thank you to you guys. Like, 100% without you all, we would not be able to do this. So if you're new here, just tuning into this for the first time, please make sure you hit subscribe and follow wherever you're listening to this. Drop us a comment. Let us know what you want to see. Let us know what we're doing right, doing wrong. And no, don't just tell me we're all doing it completely wrong, because then I'll spiral again. So, at the same time, though, for real, thank you all for the love and support. We really, really appreciate it. And, that came kind of at the perfect time, where it's that midway point of the season. It's a grind at this point, and you kind of need that boost, that recognition of, all right, people do appreciate it and they like the content and they're at least listening to it. So, hey, thank you.
I was going to say, definitely like refilled the bucket, right? Like every season's been a long season, and it's just like your halfway point, and then to get that recognition, like it was huge, kind of re-sparked me a little bit. I know it sparked you for sure.
Oh yeah, dude. I've been just going. I want to do as much as possible. I want to bring fans what they want to see. That's why I always say, whatever you want to see, tell us. What do you want asked? Obviously there are certain situations where you can ask certain questions, and there's certain situations you shouldn't ask those questions. So we always try to find that line. But if there's people you want to hear from, there's stuff you want to see from the games and around the practices and all that stuff, like, just let us know. We'll do our best to bring it to you. That's what we're here for, because we 100% do it for you guys, and we want to make sure that this incredible Griffins team and the incredible Walleye team get the credit that they deserve, because we want people talking about them, especially when you look at the Griffins in this insane historic 30th season and what it's been like so far. So it is what drives us to do this, why we keep going. And remember, we both have full-time jobs, and then we jump in and do this. There's days I don't leave this chair for maybe 14, 15 hours sometimes, it feels like. So it's a grind, but that was fun to see that. We'll stop talking about ourselves, though, and jump into some news around the Grand Rapids Griffins heading into this weekend. On Saturday, you had Jacob Truscott get called up for Sunday's game from the Toledo Walleye, which was nice to see Truscott jump into the lineup. Thought he played really well. We'll talk more about him when we talk about that game specifically. When it comes to the injuries and all that stuff, Leonard is still day-to-day. It looks like Tyler Engel's out with a little bit of an injury bug as well, so we're still missing him. Mazer is skating. We haven't verified that in person, haven't been able to make it to a practice with everything we've been doing, so hopefully we can get out to one soon and see him out there. And outside of that, no other injury updates for the team.
From what I remember Bob saying about Mazer is that he's not skating with the team, he's just light skating. So
yeah, I figured as much. Probably before practice or after practice, doing a little bit of skill stuff that we've seen before. And as it gets closer and closer, I mean, they said mid to late March was the return time frame. I think that's still probably the target for him, but obviously they're not going to rush him back into the lineup. They're going to try to let him heal fully, because you don't want him to get re-injured. That's the last thing we want to see for this kid, because he's just battled through so many things. We don't want to see him get hurt again. We want to see him be able to stay in, be successful, and get that call up back to Detroit, because we know that's obviously the goal and dream for him, is to be there long term. But outside of that, no other injury updates, which is really good to see. No one new added to the list over the weekend, which we love to see. We will provide you an update on the Olympics, which we're only going to talk about one guy. We're not going to sit here and give you a breakdown of the full Olympics, but we're going to talk about Eddie Tralmaks, right? Our guy, our Griffin, over there playing for Latvia. Unfortunately, they lost to the U.S. men's team on the first game, but since then, Eddie's had 2 goals and an assist, which Tony Wolnick, I think that's how you say his last name. I'm sorry if I butchered that. I haven't actually got to meet Tony yet, but he posted today just an update and the breakdown for the Red Wings organization in the Olympics, and Eddie is leading in goals for the entire Red Wings organization, and he's second in points right behind Lucas Raymond there. So really impressive outing in the Olympics so far for Eddie.
Not surprised. Big body, was shooting well. He should have had another assist. One of Latvia's either first or second goals in that USA games. Unfortunately, he didn't get, maybe the AHL would have counted, in the Olympics, little different rules. We'll get into that here in a minute.
Yeah. We'll talk about a specific assist that was the most unwanted assist by a player. We'll talk about that in Sunday's game here. But yeah, it is good to see Eddie doing that. I wish there was a way to share more coverage of that, but obviously everyone's been talking about, Olympic coverage being shared if you're not the actual Olympics is pretty difficult to do. We did have one follower reach out with some photos of Eddie from a game, which I really appreciated her sending those out. We reposted those on Twitter there. It's just good to see him in the flesh, I guess, through a camera that's not the Olympic camera. Just good to see him out there vibing with his countrymen and having a good time. So congrats again to Eddie. We'll keep you guys updated week over week on how he performs in these Olympic Games. Last thing I have is I actually just came from this event, the Griffins and Sled Wings game that happens every year. Today was the 19th annual Griffins and Sled Wings game. Such a fun event if you've never gone down to it. It's at Griff's Ice House every year. You get the Griffins out there with some of the Sled Wings players, which, my God, every year you see these kids out there buzzing around on those sleds, and you're like, holy crap. Like, I think they like to show up the Griffins a little bit when they're out.
Next year, I think we need to sign up, Brandon.
God, no. My arms are still sore just watching those guys go out there. But it was a lot of fun. You had Team Shine versus Team Matthews, which I think was one of the coaches of the Sled Wings out there. And Team Matthews ended up winning. Shine's team came out to a 3-0 start, and then the other team kind of took over when they swapped ends. It was pretty funny, though, just watching the guys on the Griffins who haven't done it before, and then seeing the guys that I remember watching the first time they did it, like Ammo. Like, he was struggling to move out there that first year. And today he's out there buzzing around, running into guys. And I think my favorite part of it is just how much fun they have out there with the kids. We talked with Dominik Shine and Coach Watson during the event, just what it means to be out in the community for these guys. So really cool. Stay tuned on the social pages for all those interviews and any extra content. I was shooting video the entire time I was there of the event, just trying to find the funny moments on the ice with the players, and like Austin Watson trying to take down Gabriel Seeger from behind and stuff like that. It's all fun. So again, another cool community event. We love the community events with the Griffins and hope we can continue to make it out to the more that they do. Now let's jump into the Griffins games. The first 2 games back from the All-Star break with Texas in town. The last 2 regulation games, as I said in the beginning, against Texas this season, which it feels weird to knock out playing Texas for the entire season this early. It feels like we were still playing them in the last month or the last couple of weeks of the season last year. And then you went to the playoffs having to play them right away. Well, 8 days after, the regular season ended, we finally got to play them. So with that, let's talk about Friday's game. The Griffins come out of this one with a big 4-2 win. Texas started off the scoring in this one. The Griffins responded. Texas responded, and the Griffins kind of just took over from there. As Nick teased earlier, we talked to the boys after the game. Ammo said the legs were heavy, and it was a little bit of rust out there to start off with. But once they got clicking, it really felt like the Griffins were used to seeing. You look at this and you go, okay, you've won, 4 of the past 5 now. You come out of the break and get a big win against Texas, and you have 1 game left against them. It's just really nice to see the way they played this game structurally. I think they looked like themselves again.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of a slow start, which you could expect. They just had almost a week off, right, in between the games. They didn't have any practices. The only guys that were really buzzing was, Shiner, because he'd been moving, right?
Yeah.
And Cossa didn't start this game. They gave him the night off because he was at the All-Star game. Slow start. You kind of expect a little back and forth in that first period, and then they just kind of shut it down as the game went on. I mean, no goals in the second, and then they finished them off in the third. So I was, structurally a little loose, right? And it's to be expected. The things that stood out to me on this game, though, is like the power play. We get a power play goal at home. Like, that, something we struggled on, and we were able to put one in. So
not just the power play itself, like just not just getting a goal, like the power play structure all game in their 3 attempts looked so much better at home than it's looked recently.
Yeah. I mean, it's maybe Steph Julia went to the whiteboard. They saw something over, their a couple days break, restructured it, recommitted to something a little bit more simple. And we're able to put it away.
Yeah, it was nice to see. And obviously the penalty kill, they went 3 for 4 in this one, but still a really solid looking penalty kill at home. Postava played a great game. I wouldn't say tested extremely. I'm sure the 2 goals he probably wants back, they weren't the prettiest. I think one of them was just bad D coverage. The first one, I think he kind of overcommitted, pushing to the right. And you're like, oh, that's one he's going to kind of want back. But overall played a solid game. I mean, guys that stood out, like you said, Shiner, 2 goals in this game to come back from All-Star break, absolutely huge. And the goals that he scored weren't just, they weren't just slap shots. There was some skill involved in them, which you really like to see, but it really looked like there was points in the game that he was just kind of taking over the game.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the stat sheet too. He had 7 shots. He led the team in shots for this entire weekend. So he was an animal out there. It was just really a highlight weekend for him. It's just crazy to see, like, he really stepped up when the team needed him, right? Like he's been kind of under the radar guy with Leonard above him, scoring on the pace that he has been. And like last year, you had Mazer that was scoring on a good pace, Amo scoring on a good pace. Shiner, not really like known for scoring, right? He's just the tough, gritty forward that you're going to play against. And we talked with coach over the All-Star break, like he started in the fourth line when Waddy got here, and he worked his way all the way up to the first and to a call up to Detroit. And you're seeing like the Dom shot that we know and love, right? Now he's getting the points that are being added.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're going to talk a lot about him a lot with Sunday's game, but to see that continued growth. I mean, last year set, his career high in points and goals and all that stuff, and he's on pace to absolutely shatter those numbers he set last year, which when you're 10 years into your career in the AHL, you wouldn't think in year 10 you're shattering your career highs, but here he is. And when you look at the guys out of the lineup, right, you look especially like John Leonard, you have your top goal scorer out. You have other guys stepping up and putting the puck in the back of the net when you need to. And seeing Shine step up in this absence is huge. Amo's goal in this game, he's going to say it was luck, or was he doing that? Who knows? He kind of sent the puck across the front of the net looking for Danielson, but it goes off the Stars defender, past Poirier into the net. You'll take those as a goal scorer any day of the week. Then, Austin Watson on the power play there, really nice play. MBN with an assist on that to Amisto as well. Shai Buyam, though, 2 assists in this game, which we talked to maybe a week or two back with a game that he was healthy scratched on, came out, got some points, and now we're just seeing consistent production from Shai, which I think is a real positive when you look at the organization overall.
Yeah, and this was a guy that I had labeled all last year. I was like, this guy is going to explode at any point, and he had a great preseason, gets injured, jumps on this moving bus of a team this year, right? And he struggled. I'm not gonna lie, he's struggling. It was a guy that I had question marks next to a couple 2 weeks ago that I'm like, what is going on? This guy is, I know plus minus isn't the end all be all, but he was like our only minus guy at the time for GR. And then he gets the All-Star break, and I think that's the time that he really was able to reset his mind. He was able to reset the body, and then he was able to perform. Like this week was huge for him. Like super impressed. This is the guy that we saw pre-injury, right? Coming in, now making a stance, playing really well, putting up the points like he we expect him to. And I think a little bit of pressure may have been relieved as well over the weekend with him getting engaged. So maybe that had helped his nerves a little bit. I don't know. But glad to see him back on the score sheet, playing well defensively, and just doing it on both ends, right? Like he's back in consideration of, okay, this might be the guy that gets called up. Maybe not this year, but maybe next. Right.
Yeah. And congrats to Shai and his fiance on that engagement. That was awesome to see over the All-Star break. There's always one over the All-Star break, right? It seems like in the NHL and the AHL, there's always a couple engagements. So congratulations to both of them, and congrats to him for getting on the score sheet, like you said. You mentioned him jumping on, the moving train. Let's talk about the freight train on the ice that night against Texas in Austin Watson, who midway through the second period absolutely annihilated Sean Chisholm, which, we've talked about him in these Stars games before too. A guy that likes to mess around out there, kind of cause some chaos, get into the scrums. And Austin Watson saw the perfect opportunity to, I think, take out every ounce of aggression from those scrums with him in one foul swoop and just labeled him.
Waddy was a freaking bowling ball out there. Just, you ever go to a 5-year-old's bowling party and they've got these bumpers up and the kid just rolls it out? That was Austin Watson, just everywhere on the ice, literally just nailing everybody that was moving. I think there was like 4 or 5 big hits throughout this game that he just came out, set the tone, got these guys riled up. He's been a little angry before the All-Star break. I thought he may have gotten it out of the system. A couple game misconducts, but I see again on Friday, he got another one and he got sent out.
No, that was on Sunday. We'll talk about that in a second.
I meant on Sunday, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, you're good. Overall, though, just thoughts on that game, it's a great win. It's a great way to come back from the All-Star break, a 4-2 win like that. And again, goal scorers, Lambeau, Shine twice, and Austin Watson, and Postapa in 24-26. You cannot complain about that.
Team played great. There was just a little bit of bad news for us. Like one of our favorite guys got injured, Mr. Cross-Hannes.
Yeah, that one, I'm glad you brought that up because I would have skipped over it. But yeah, Justin Hull, a very innocent hit on Cross-Hannes, I think midway through the second period. And I saw him do the thing where he grabs the shoulder. And I'm like, man, I've seen that before in GR. That's usually when he's going to miss a bunch of time. And you're just gutted for a guy that's, he didn't have a job going into the season, signs a PTO, earns that full-time contract, playing in the top 6 in the Texas Stars and playing well. And I guess credit to him because as soon as he was out of the lineup, that team looked nowhere near as offensively dangerous as they have recently.
Well, yeah, he's been putting up points against us all season. Like he is the leading Texas Star player against us. It's unfortunate. It's terrible. Like we even talked with Cameron Hughes when we were down at Rockford, and he was just, all talk about Cross Hannes and how good he is as a player and as a person down there. And it's a guy that we want to do well, right? Even though he's not with the organization anymore, we still, I saw that. I was just like, I was gutted. I was gutted when I saw it. And it was a big shock. It was kind of reminded me when Spezia went down last year into the boards. So
yeah, it didn't look bad. Like it wasn't a bad hit. It wasn't a mean hit. Like there was no retaliation from it. Like it was just a normal hit into the boards, but I think he just hit awkwardly, and we didn't end up seeing him play on Sunday. So we kind of have a bad feeling that it might be a little longer term. We hope for his sake that it's not. And again, we don't cheer for injuries even after a guy leaves the organization. You want to see a guy go out and do well. So hopefully he's back in the Stars lineup for them soon, but we don't know. Once we know more, if we hear an update, we'll obviously share it at some point down the road during the season. I think it's time that we hit a quick ad break. When we come back, recap Sunday's game, and we're obviously going to talk about the All-Star game too, give you guys our thoughts and opinions from experiencing our first American League All-Star game.
DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, is built for the fastest game on ice. With player props, live betting, every shift, every shot, every save gives you options to get in on the game with DraftKings Sportsbook. Currently, the NHL is on an Olympic break, but right now you can bet a plus 10,000 for Moritz Seider to win the Norris Trophy, or plus 3,500 for John Gibson to win the Vezina. Pretty good odds there for our guys. New customers bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN. That's code THPN to turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. New York, call 8778-HOPE-NY. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, wager tax pass-through may apply in Illinois. 21 plus in most states. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer. Copyright 2026. Reserve.
And welcome back. All right, let's jump into Sunday's game, the final regular season matchup between the Griffins and the Texas Stars. And oh my gosh, the Griffins blank the Stars 5-0. What a way to cap off the season series with these guys. And you go into this game and you look at like some of the stats, right? You go, man, this is Dreisy's 500th game. And you go, wow, that's pretty impressive. And, he finds his way out of the score sheet with an assist in this one. Congrats to him on 500. Love that. But then you go, what else is going to happen? And Dom Shine decides to complete the weekend where he already had 2 goals and rip off 3 more for his second hat trick of the season. And also becomes the 3rd all-time scorer for goals for the Grand Rapids Griffins in franchise history with his 95th goal. And almost the most unassisted goals as a Griffin. Almost, but apparently the rules are different with how you track assists in the NHL and the AHL, because Shine took it away from a Stars player. He had some sort of possession, but Shine took it away to go in and score that goal for the first goal of the game. They ended up adding an assist to Ammo afterwards. And let me tell you guys this, just behind the scenes, this is the only time I've ever seen a player try to not claim a point. He did not want the assist. He was okay not getting it. He wanted Shine to get the record. He knew that it was the record when Shine scored it. Like they all knew going in. And I feel like Shine's been chasing this record for so long. I think we're at about a season and a half where he could have locked this one down. And Ammo felt terrible about it. He did not want it. So credit to him for the selflessness of just, I don't want this assist. Don't give it to me. But yes, they gave him the assist, so it's not his all-time leading unassisted goals record.
Admin was not happy about it.
No, because they had the graphic ready to go and everything. They posted it. We all found this out heading into postgame.
And then his apology is out, and he looks very scared, like he was abused. You may want to call the Players Association.
Ammo, blink twice if you need help. Buddy.
Yeah, he looked very nervous in the video. So
it was funny. It was really funny,
super funny. But yeah, just great for Shine. Like He's got to get it. I feel like he
He'll
had it
get it.
again. I feel like he had it again earlier this season. Bob had mentioned it.
He
and
did.
I
This
posted
is the
it.
second time this season that it's happened.
Maybe we should
Darn
just
his teammates for being strong on their stick and getting the puck to him. It sucks. But no, beautiful goal by Shiner. All three were beautiful, including one just being an absolute missile. That was for the hat trick right there. Like you're like, there, the hardest shot warmed him up for that. Like he was ready to go. But that goal overall, this game for Dominik Shine, obviously, there was two other goal scorers. Seager scored another beauty with a big bounce off the boards in the end, and it bounced right to him. He's able to tuck it right behind the Texas goaltender. And Shai Buyam, his first goal of the season, which we know felt good, just adding to his great week. Get engaged, get 2 assists Friday night, and you come out and get your first of the season. We know he's feeling super confident after that.
Yeah, two guys right there, right? Seager, who's been on a little bit of a roll lately, gets a goal, another goal.
Power play goal.
A power play goal at home, like even bigger right there. So we don't keep at our 10% power play going after the All-Star break. So maybe we fixed it at home, right? And we've got 2 wins at home. That's huge because we were not doing too well at home in January. So good, a little bounce back. We're getting those depth players like Seager scoring, Shai Buyam, right? Again, like I said in the beginning of this the episode, again, continuing the pace. Like if he can continue this is going to be back to what he was before. And I love that. The other guy I want to mention here too is Raklovsky. Sat out Friday, comes in and gets the assist on the Seager goal. Like that's huge. That's another depth piece. And you wonder too, like at least I wondered, you got Eddie with Becker and Raklovsky, who's really holding it up. Like, well, how is that line doing so well beforehand? You take Eddie out because of the Olympics, and these guys still find ways to score or get on the score sheet. So good on him on that as well.
Yeah, because you had both Becker and Raklovsky get on the score sheet in this one, which is great. And, it's funny, too, because on Buyam's goal, it's the second time this weekend a defenseman was up in that rush in a 2-on-1. You had it Friday night with Lombardi and Mitchell, which they couldn't convert. And then you had this one with Becker and Shai Buyam, which they do convert. You love to see it. And it's just funny, all of a sudden, these defensemen jumping into the rush. We haven't seen it a ton this season, but when they do it, it's great. I think Ian Mitchell has made one too many moves, and he would have had a goal on Friday night there too. So I want to go back to you mentioning the power play, right? It's goals at home on the power play in back-to-back games. It's 2 huge back-to-back wins at home coming out of the break. It's exactly what we needed to see coming out of the break. We talked about it last week. We want to see them come in at home and play their game and impress these fans. I mean, it was a sellout crowd there on a Sunday night. It's a beautiful thing to see. Really cool game, too, with the City Connect jerseys. And obviously this one being a mental health awareness game, too, which we're big believers in supporting that on this show. So love to see all the stuff the Griffins did with that. Those jerseys in person, like when we saw the graphic of them, we were like, they're all right. They did not look anything like the original graphic that we saw. They were a much darker blue. They looked really clean. The Calder City logo looked really nice. I'm a big fan of those jerseys. I'd like to see those ones back in a rotation at some point in time, or at least that logo. I loved the logo.
Or the color scheme. I was not, it looked very Kansas City to me, right? When Travis said that to me, and I'm like, I don't know about this. But when I looked on, like when they were playing, it actually looked really good with the pants and everything. Like the fit did look really good.
It looked great.
Do you want to know who the highest bidder was, or the highest jersey was?
Shine.
How much?
1,300 and something.
Yeah, it was 1,310. It was
I don't Shine's getting to Brandon Hawkins territory in auctions here. It's getting a little ridiculous. Eddie's, I think, was the second highest, which it's not game worn, which is really nice. So it doesn't stink, because that's the first time in a post game where they bring the rack of jerseys out while we're waiting in the hallway. That hallway reeked. Those jerseys were ripe in that game, but the Griffins played hard in this game, so it's kind of expected. Like, this game was Griffins hockey that we've expected to see all season. This is what we've been witnessing in these crazy stretches where they've gone on these crazy runs. Like this game, front to back, solid defensively, incredible goaltending from Cossa, stopping all 26 shots in this one, even with 2 late penalty kills in the last 5 minutes of the game too. Cossa stood on his head multiple times in this one, but the defense played great. Offensively, they were fantastic. Obviously, Shine carried the load in that, but I don't think if he didn't have 3 goals, there would have still been 5 goals in this game. I still think other guys would have been able to convert on those opportunities. And this was Griffins hockey. And I mean that front to back, all the way down to an Austin Watson unsportsmanlike conduct at the end, which we've got to talk about this. I want to go on record and say this. I do not like the treatment of Austin Watson by officials in this league at this point. It feels targeted. And I can say this because I don't work for the team, but this feels targeted. Anytime, even at the end of the game, if he's yapping, chirping, running his mouth, they just toss him. Like, this was with 40 seconds left. Did you really need to toss him out of the game? Just tell him to go to the bench, shut his mouth, and keep going. And he's going to run his mouth from the bench? Probably. But also there was so much chaos during that there where they didn't know whether to send a Griffin to the box or not. Like, the last 40 seconds of the game took 5 minutes because the officials couldn't get it straight. Like, it was ridiculous. But stop targeting Austin Watson. There's players on both teams across the league that run their mouths like that, especially at the end of a game. And we don't see a guy get tossed this often. This is getting a bit ridiculous. We saw it in Charlotte. We saw it in Chicago. We've seen it too many times where I feel like personally at this point, it's unfair.
Well, I don't know if it's unfair.
100%. He's the only one getting it.
Is there a suspension for having too many game misconducts?
I don't know, and I hope not, because I have a fear that he might not be playing Wednesday after this. We'll look into it and get an update and post it once we know more. But it's just stupid because, like, when I look at the events that were happening on ice at that time, he was not the only one talking. Cole Lind was just yapping away. We've seen that all season long with his antics. I mean, we've seen him kick Sebastian Cossa in a game and didn't get booted for it. But Austin just talking seems to get him the boot. And trust me, you're never going to get that man to stop talking, whether you give him the boot or not. Like, if you give that guy a nickel, he'll go a mile talking. We've seen it in postgame. He's probably the chattiest one on the team. But this is just getting out of hand because it feels targeted at this point. And I'm going to go on record and say that it feels targeted. I don't like it. And I think the league needs to stop.
I think some of it's his reputation, though. Like, we can hear him in the press box. Like, we can hear him.
You can hear so many players yelling the F word from down the ice, but he just happens to be the loudest. But at the same time, it's his role on this team to be that guy to get under the other team's skin, right? But every team has one. Are they booting LaRue and Mutter and Milwaukee when they're doing this? No. They're letting them just go back to the bench and keep the chirping going between the two benches. And I will say, like, the refs did not want any fun business in this game. Like, there was a time where I think it was Shine and Chisholm were going at it, and they both just gave them 2 for cross-checking before it turned into a fight. Like, they just sent them both off. I never saw a cross-check between the two, but that's what they gave them. Like, the refs wanted zero funny business out of either team, but it's just the continuation of sending Austin Watson out of the game at the end of the game, stacking up these unsportsmanlikes. Because if this does result in a suspension, I might blow a gasket at that point because that's ridiculous. He's done nothing to warrant a suspension besides talking.
Yeah, I mean, we've asked before too, and they're like, we don't know what that call was for. Like, there was one a couple weeks ago, and we're like, what was that?
They didn't put it on. They said unsportsmanlike conduct on this one. Yeah. We've just seen misconduct on the score sheet with no explanation. We've seen abusive officials, whatever. Like, it's just getting out of hand at this point. And from him, like, if he's saying stuff to the refs, like, I don't blame him at this point because it feels like he's being targeted by them. And yes, it could be his reputation or whatever. There's guys across this league that have reputations that don't get addressed. If you're going to address one of them, you got to address them all. It's got to be called fair across the board. I wouldn't say this was targeted if it wasn't getting called, or if it was getting called fairly.
We should check to see the refs in all these games that he did get game misconduct and see if there's been any carryover. Maybe.
I mean, the refs were the same Friday as they were Sunday, but
maybe he needs to bring like a cake or some Marge's donuts to these refs to try to, like, remember when Griff used to bribe the refs before? Because we did so bad, but maybe he needs to just sweeten them up a little bit, apologize, restart, go to the second half, a changed man. I don't know. It's annoying to see.
It's ridiculous. I'm over it. Like,
both sides.
Stop it. Yeah. Again, call it fairly. That's all I'm saying. You're going to do it to him, do it to others in the league that deserve it too. Like, I saw those comments between LaRue and Comesso in that Rockford game Saturday. Did LaRue get tossed? No. Should he have? If you're calling it like that? Yes. Yes, he should have. Anyways, before I go on and on, because I can, me and official rants, I can get there.
Another 45 minutes.
Exactly. The last piece to talk about with this game, obviously, we hinted at, like, Sebastian Cossa, just absolutely unreal in this one. His 5th shutout of the season. He leads the league in shutouts. I asked him after the game if he saw 5 shutouts in his stars going into this season. He doesn't really track that personally. He doesn't really care about that. Most of the guys don't care about those personal stats, right? But he did realize, he's like, I don't think I've ever had 5 shutouts in a season. I think this is the first time ever, and whether it be pros or juniors. So really congrats to him and just this unreal. Like, you think about a few games back, remember, we were talking 5 goals and 18 shots. And ever since then, lights out.
I mean, this is the send-off, right? This is the send-off season. There is rumors of, maybe they trade one of the goalies in Detroit and he's the backup. I don't foresee that happening this season.
This is our last season with Cossa and Grand Rapids. We know it. And
as it should
you know
be.
what? It's a 100%. This kid deserves to be in the NHL. He should be there now, but whether we have him the rest of the season or whatnot, we're just going to enjoy every moment we have with him because of the show he's putting on. Like, obviously, Postava's a great goaltender. We know Carter Guylander's a great goaltender, but getting to watch Cossa develop like we have from starting his first year pro in the ECHL to what he is now, it's just been such a joy to watch. And it's very rare that when you're doing this, you get to watch that development play out from start to finish. When our first season was his first season in the pros. So it's been so much fun to watch. You can't help but root for him, and I cannot wait to see him go take on that next step, because will it be shaky at first? It could be, who knows? But at the same time, what he could potentially develop into is going to be a star in the NHL. And I really, really, truly believe that at this point. I know there are so many people that think that there's other goaltenders that we've drafted that are better, looking at you, Nick. But at the same time, Cossa has truly proved himself to be just an all-time pro. And if we get to have him all the way through the playoffs, like, it's going to be a fun ride to see him handle those high pressure situations, those high pressure games with as chill as he is now. I think he's the right guy to lead us very, very deep into the playoffs. Not saying that Posty couldn't, but he might give us a heart attack with how twitchy he is sometimes.
Oh God, love Posty, right? I mean, I would love to run it back next year with Trey and Cossa, but it's just not gonna. There's just no way. There's absolutely no way that it happens. It's been fun being on the ride, being able to watch Cossa from his Toledo days, and me driving to Kalamazoo to watch him, right? And then to see him here, I think, they don't, sometimes they'll say like they don't think about those records, they don't think about that or this, they're just really focused on this game and the next puck and the next shot. But I can't help to think, like, the playoffs last year had to have left a bad taste in their mouths. Like, there's it had to have, because I mean, we just finished off Texas, 8 games, 7 wins, 1 loss, 2 shutouts, I think, in that span, and
a 10-1 game or whatever.
Like, that has to be sitting in their back of their minds at some point, throughout.
It is.
This.
I can confirm, because I asked a few of the guys if it felt good, and some of them said yes, some of them said they didn't care. Coach said it doesn't matter, playoffs are what matter, as you would expect Coach to say. But the guys that went through that, this was a fun regular season against Texas.
And I don't think it stops here, right? Like, we still have division games against Milwaukee, Rockford, Chicago. I think we finished Manitoba.
I don't know if we did or not. I can't tell you off the top of my head. I'm not going to look it up right now.
Yeah. So, I mean, we still have plenty of division games to go. But to finish this one out, like, I think to go back to the Cossa point, like, he didn't have a great playoffs, right? That last game was probably his best game that he had played, and he gave up. The team let him down. I think it was a 5-goal game against, and I thought he played actually really well. But I think that still sits into their mental a little bit that, we were a good team last year. This team is going to be better, and it's because we're not going to let that happen. What happened last year? The second
and I said
half
I wasn't going to look it up, but I did. And next Wednesday we have a game against Manitoba. We still have like 3 more games against Manitoba this year, so
maybe
we are
Iowa?
not done with them. Iowa, we still have 2. We are only done with Texas so far.
Okay.
And our only out of division opponent remaining this season is Cleveland, at least 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, because we end them. And them, hopefully, and with the season with them on the road too as well at Rocket Arena. So yeah, overall, just a really fun for us, fun for the fans, fun for the team season against the Texas Stars. And who knows, we could meet them in the playoffs. You never know. Texas has turned it around substantially, but to see them come into Grand Rapids after the break on a 7-game streak and have us end it and then put them on a losing streak is a really, really fun thing for me as a fan. And I'm sure whether the boys want to admit it or not, it was really fun for them too, especially in the fashion that they did it in. Like we said, there's the 10-1 game, shut them out 5-0 in the final game. It's going to leave a bad taste in Texas's mouth too. So if there's a playoff matchup, it's going to be a tight one.
And like, we played a majority of our, like, the early games against Texas earlier in the season. And people were like, well, you guys took advantage of them at the beginning of the season. They weren't good. They were trying to figure it out. But then to come back from the All-Star game and we still put them away that way, like, and they've got it figured out for the most part. Like, you just see how dominant this team really is. And I felt bad for my friends who came out to watch Tristan Bertucci and for us to just slaughter Texas this weekend. I felt bad on that end, but I'm like,
I don't feel bad at all.
His team is good. His parents came out from Ontario, and I was able to, say hi and meet them very quickly.
Yeah, that's cool, though. All right, moving on from those games, that wraps up the weekend. Our 3 stars of the week. Third star, giving it to Shai Buium, a goal and 2 assists this week. I think that's a fantastic outing for him, so he gets our 3rd star. Sebastian Cossa gets the 2nd star of the week with his 5th shutout of the season on Sunday, and you know who the 1st star of this week was. He's AHL Player of the Week, and he's our 1st star of the week, Dominik Shine. A 5-goal weekend, absolutely absurd from the captain. And, you look at his whole week, gets to go to his first All-Star game, gets to spend the time with the family and his son, comes back, lights it up with 5 goals. Just an absolutely fun week for the captain.
And he was captain of the All-Star team, too.
Alternate captain. Still an incredible honor for him. So those are our 3 stars of the week. Nick, we need an Ignite the Nest standings update. I know we haven't talked about this a ton this season. We posted about it a lot early on because the graphic was easy to make. I have not had time. You see how much content we're putting out. So, Nick, we need a full breakdown of the Ignite the Nest competition, reminding fans that it's a competition with us among other podcasts across the Red Wings organization. Winner at the end of the season takes the pot and gets to donate it to the charity of their choice. They've all been posted about what charities they are supporting. Ours was the Griffins Youth Foundation. Nick, who is leading the way in each division right now?
So it's been a pretty crazy season so far with Ignite the Nest. A couple storylines. So right now in the East, so that's our division, Hockey Style with Devin and Megan has made a resurgence to the top. They were at the bottom for a while, hanging out with Elaine. They've got 106 points so far. We're right behind them with 98. Grindline at 92. Red Wings Rant at 86. Hockey in the 313 at 84 points. And then Grace by Rain with 71. Big reason why the Hockey Style girls are crushing it. They've been picking the goalies.
That's a safe choice in this competition to pick. Our goalies are pretty darn good.
It's been good. I mean, they just kind of consistently stuck with them. In the West division, the East has been actually the most fun division, I would say. It's our division. There's been a lot of chatter back and forth. So I like that division a lot. Now the West side, little different over here. We've got a curse from Lars. Anybody that Lars, the Swedish winger, picks ends up getting hurt, ends up getting called up, ends up just not showing up. So it's been kind of a fun storyline. I didn't realize, Brandon, that we picked Ammo last week, and Lars did too. And Ammo performed, so we were good on that end. I was looking at it, I was like, oh no, why did we do that?
Nobody picked Shine in our division last week, though.
Nobody picked Shine in the other division either. So it was weird to see that. So on the West, here's the breakdown. Here's the standings. Hockeytown Rundown is just running away with it. 124 points. They continually pick the team, and nobody else has figured that out yet. So even being kind of stuck with us in the bottom of picking in the division, they continually outperform the other teams. Locked On Red Wings, Brian Fisher over there, they just made a resurgence. So they popped up to 93. Flying Wheel at 92. Travis, he's been hit or miss this season. 88. Flying Octopus with 83. And then Swedish Winger at 62. Yeah, Rundown has doubled up the Swedish Winger. But we're almost through. We have playoffs start in about a month. I figured out our odd number of teams to be able to get it going. It's been pretty good. Pretty exciting to see who is going to finish this out. It's like our division is so tight, 106 to 98. 92, like we're all still right there in it. So yeah, it's been fun.
Thank you for the update on that. It's been a fun competition. I wish we had time to share more about it. There's just been so much going on. And we're going to obviously talk about our All-Star experience. That was a lot of the stuff going on lately. Before we jump to that, though, I wanted to provide the standings update for the AHL. You gave the Ignite the Nest standings update. I've got the AHL standings update. The Griffins, obviously still leading the way in the Central Division, leading the league still also by just 2 points. Providence is slowly catching up to Grand Rapids. The rest of the Central goes like this, though. You got Grand Rapids leading the way at 77 points. Chicago behind them at 58. So there's your separation from first to second. Manitoba in third with 50. The Stars in fourth now after the Griffins handing them 2 losses with 48 points. Milwaukee in fifth at 44 points. Rockford catching up to Milwaukee in sixth place there at 40 points. So only 4-point separation between the two teams that just literally want to kill each other on the ice every time they play. If you haven't tuned into a Rockford-Milwaukee game recently, I think every one of them's had at least 100 penalty minutes, it feels like, coming out of those games. Iowa's still down there at the bottom of the division with their 13 wins. It's not much, but it's honest work, right? That's what they're doing down there. You go to the Pacific Division, Colorado and Ontario tied for first at 64 points. Bakersfield and San Jose in third and fourth there, with Coachella in fifth, San Diego sixth, Tucson seventh, Henderson in eighth, Calgary down in ninth with Abbotsford 4 points behind them. All of a sudden, Abbotsford has a 3-game win streak. Crazy. Maybe Ben Berard took some of his AHL skills and went into there and tore it up, because that guy had some skill in that skills competition. His goal that got shared everywhere after that one might be one of the sickest goals I've ever seen in person. You go to the Atlantic Division, as we mentioned, Providence leading that one, obviously being second in the league as well. Wilkes-Barre behind them at 69 points.
Nice.
Charlotte in third at 57 points. The bottom of that division, you got Hartford still at the bottom of that one. Actually, I shouldn't say still. Springfield finally jumped up above them. Hartford is in last there at 40 points. You go to the North Division. Vol with a 7-point lead over Syracuse in that division. Their last 10, they're 8-1, 0-1. An absolutely insane team down there with an insane goaltender who we unfortunately didn't get to see much of at the All-Star game, because he was dealing with a little bit of an injury, but he was back in action for them on Fridays. Happy for him. Happy to see he got back in there. I know he was kind of disappointed not to be playing in some of the events at the All-Star game. The rest of that division, Cleveland in third now with a 2-point lead over Toronto. You got Rochester and Belleville in fifth and sixth. Utica down there in seventh with 14 wins, making Iowa dead last in the entire league. So that is your divisional updates and your standings updates around the American Hockey League. As it gets closer and closer to playoffs, we'll start giving you more of a breakdown in this segment, but that's just keeping you up to date. The one crazy streak I think we can talk about when it comes to the league is Providence, a 12-game win streak right now. Absolutely insane numbers coming out of the Providence Bruins. What an insane team with some insane goaltending also on their end too. Michael DiPietro, seeing him in person at the All-Star game, I was like, holy, no wonder you're doing so well. The kid is acrobatic. He's making big saves for that team, but they've got some offense going there too. 52 goals scored, 90 against. So that goal differential, not as insane as the Griffins 165 to 90 against, but still pretty darn good.
I wanted to ask Coach, do they want to win the President's Trophy here? Or are they okay with Providence passing them? Like, what are we are we trying to get both? Is there a curse in the AHL for regular
there's a curse in
season?
every league winning the regular season. So who knows? But at the same time, I don't think this Griffins team will allow curses to bother them too much. But I'd probably also say the same for Providence, because that team's on a roll. But moving on from the weekend and all that stuff, we've got to go back in time to last week. We're going to talk about the AHL All-Star Game. So if you made it this far, you're going to get to hear our recap. We'll do a more in-depth recap for Patreon probably, but let's talk about the experience overall. And the first thing I want to say is just hats off to Rockford. We didn't know what to expect going into this. Obviously, it was our first All-Star Game, not just as media, but as fans even. So we really didn't know what to expect. But I would say Rockford, with what was expected of them, put on a great show. I know the arena might not be Nick's favorite, but for what it is, it definitely is nicer than I thought it was. I know they've done some upgrades to it. The first thing I want to shout out, outside of just Rockford doing a great job hosting and taking care of everybody, was the fans there. That is a bought-in fan base when it comes to hockey. Obviously, during the skills competition, anyone that wasn't a Rockford player was getting booed, especially the Central Division players. But you fast forward to the skills challenge or the All-Star challenge or whatever they called the game the next day, the round robin 3-3 tournament. Everybody in the Central's getting cheered for. Everybody playing against them's getting booed for. The refs are getting told they suck. You're getting goalie suck chants in All-Star games. Like they're a bought-in fan base that loves their guys. And you could tell, I know we were talking to Bob about this on Friday, it feels like every fan there has a jersey, whether it's a Blackhawks or Ice Hawks jersey. Every single fan there repping their team with a jersey, which you don't see a lot in the American League.
Yeah, the BMO Center, the big orange box, as some would say, it was, I didn't know what to expect, right? We'd never been there, never been to another AHL arena. Been to a lot of O's, been a lot of college, but a couple high school ones, but never to another AHL, and I've never been to an All-Star game. So for me, like you have to say, like the fans, like you said, absolutely insane. The culture, the traditions that they had just blew me away. They were extremely loud. It's smaller arena than what we have, but I think it was set up really well. For me, like I did watch the second day. I was more working the crowd, working the concourse, messing with the mascots. But I did notice like the concession stands were very like the lines were very fast. Like people weren't held up at that missing parts of the game. So, good on them to be able to get people in and out, right? My big thing is always the food there. So I know your thing was the digital boards. You thought they were really cool. I couldn't care less when I was there, but when I watched the Rockford game the other night, I was like, okay, I get it. These are pretty cool. They were able to see the graphics and for Rockford because they didn't put those up. Or at least I didn't see it during the skills comp.
They definitely didn't use them a ton during the skills. They used them a lot during the actual All-Star game. The thing for me is like we've seen these get introduced and people being like, that's weird. I don't know how I feel about screens being the boards. I've seen what Utica's looks like, and they were the first ones in the American League to get them. And I'm like, oh my God, those are horrendous. Whatever ones Rockford ordered, they're not distracting from the game, right? Like I look at those to where I'm watching a game on TV with those stupid digital ads the NHL uses, and I see these and I'm like, wow, there's way more implications to use these in a TV basis than what those are. These are way nicer than those. And the graphics you can throw up for a goal and stuff like that, it is super cool to see how like they can implement those in a game. I know they were really excited because they could do a lot more with the All-Star game than they could with a regular game. But I was just like, if that's the future of hockey with those coming into arenas, like whatever Rockford has, it's the right ones. They weren't distracting. They didn't look ugly. They didn't look pixelated, kind of like Utica's does. And yeah, I was excited about those because it was something new. It's new technology in hockey that you're not exposed to unless your arena has them. So yeah, I was curious to see how they would look, and I was a fan of those. And if they had to bring those into Vandal one day, I wouldn't complain, right? You could see the use case there for them and what they could do, and them not being a distraction from the game too is kind of nice. It makes for some really sweet photos during team intros too. So I hope to see those in the future. I'm sure if Travis was here, he'd be shaking his head at me because he's a hockey purist. But at the same time, I thought they were super cool. The arena itself, it's loud because it's a smaller arena. Concourse is tight. It's just like Van Andel though. Like we can't say that they have that up on us or whatever, but at the same time, just the feel of the arena, the excitement there, the fans are what made that really special, I think, when it comes to the whole tournament overall. But going back to just the way Rockford did it, bringing in the Blackhawks anthem singer for the game, and the fans there doing the roar that the Blackhawks fans do during the anthem, like that gave me chills. Like this, I was like, oh, I'm kind of amped up for this game now, ready to go. I could see why that's so much fun to be a part of. And it's really cool to see those Blackhawks crossovers to the Ice Hogs in this event. Having Patrick Sharp and Christopher Stieg there was really cool. But when you stop talking about just the event itself and for us what it was just such a cool experience to get to talk to our guys outside of a game environment, a more relaxed environment. Cossa was nice enough to sit down with Thomas Milic and do a little goalie interview for the Central Division with us. And that was a lot of fun in just getting to see those guys outside that environment and also get to talk to some of these guys across the league. Like you mentioned earlier in the show, we talked with Cameron Hughes. We talked with Tim Washi, which if you know that name, yeah, he was Western Michigan Bronco, a national champion last year, playing with the San Diego Gulls this year. Talked with Jack Devine, who was also a teammate of Antetokounmpo, Carter Mazer, and Shai Williams out in Denver. Got to catch up with Matt Luff, which is always a fun time. That dude is an absolute riot. Such a fun guy to talk to. But just getting to do that for us was so cool.
Yeah, I mean, it was being able to see, like, we did a pretty good job of finding, like, doing the research beforehand of, like, okay, Tim Washi, like, when we just looked at this list, we didn't know who he was, right? And then we started looking into it, and it's like, oh, he played at Western. Okay, like, let's get this guy. And he was super appreciative of, like, talking with us. Like, he's like, why, you guys from Grand Rapids? Okay, yeah, like, went to Western. Like, okay, this makes sense. Jack Devine, like, from the Charlotte Chuckers, we had just played, but went to school with, he was in the same class as Mazer, Shine. Like, it was cool to see those. I wish, like, on our end, I wish it was we had more time with some of those guys on the other division, the other conference, it was really tough. Like there's so
Everything
many
moves so
players.
fast.
Yeah, and it wasn't like you had 10 minutes, but some of these players were already like in the showers or taping or like off to lunch, or not lunch, but off to dinner. So it was tough, but like we were told you have to go in with a plan, and I thought we executed pretty well. But
Yeah.
and also just to like hang out with, our guys, right? Outside of the, our media people, admin and our PR guy, Andrew, and, just a coach, right? We get a little bit of, with outside of practice, outside of games, and have those genuine one-on-one conversations with them. So, and then also Jonathan Mills, right, from the Detroit Red Wings organization, be able to meet
it was
him
cool catching up with Millsy. Yeah,
it was very cool. Shake his hand, talk a little hockey, and see where the state of the Red Wings are. So, and he said he was a big fan, which I was like, really?
That was Nick's favorite moment.
Yeah.
No, overall, like the show the AHL put on, it's great, and I'm really excited for Cleveland next year. Now we know what to expect. We can go in with a little bit more of a plan and get more and more content. I think the only one I felt bad for was when I talked with Ben Berard from Abbotsford, which fans of the Walleye might know him. He played with the K-Wings last year too, and scored his first goal against Sebastian Cossa, his first pro goal. And I asked him about that goal, like, what do you remember about that game? And he also got severely injured in that game too, which I didn't know. So I felt super bad bringing up that memory. Sorry, Ben. Nice guy. Didn't like hate me for it, obviously. And I owned it. I'm like, if I would have done my research better, I would have known. So sorry, dude. But at the same time, just all those guys being willing to talk with us was also cool, and finding those connections back to Grand Rapids and West Michigan, and just all of it was so much fun. I can't wait for next year. And I mean, we owe a big thank you to our friend Elaine, who, obviously covers the Griffins with us, doing her own stuff on her Grace by Rain site, but just kind of helping us navigate it the first day. And once we went into day 2, we were like, all right, this is the plan. We're going. Like, you doing the mascot videos, dude, was hilarious. I know fans appreciated those. And I just thought they were super funny. It's just fun content. I don't think we got that over to YouTube yet. We'll get it over there eventually. There's so much stuff that's still got to get posted. All these interviews we're talking about, some of you haven't even seen those haven't seen the light of day yet. So we'll get them out there hopefully while they're still relevant. And yeah, it's just a thank you to the Griffins, a thank you to the league, and we're just super excited to be a part of it and ready to be back next year.
Yeah, I want to thank Elaine too for putting up with us for those 3-4 days, and
put up with you.
So big thank you to her. And like, I wish I would have went to the community event the next day, but it was so I don't know how she did it. Yeah, I don't know how she did it. She went to that, and then she went to the Chris Versteeg, Patrick Sharp,
Hall of Fame event,
the Hall of Fame event, and then she covered the game. So a big kudos to her, and that was a great time. And mascots, right? Like, that was fun. And then I was able to interview a couple fans that I found from Grand Rapids. I think the mascots were actually harder to get those pictures and videos with than it was to find these fans and to get them on. So appreciate them, and hopefully we can get that content out as well. It was cool to see a good representation, I felt, of Grand Rapids people down there. I didn't see a whole lot of other teams.
There was a handful. Like, there was some that surprised, like seeing some Hartford fans, some Rochester fans, Manitoba fans, guy rocking the baby blue Manitoba Hellebuck jersey. I was like, oh, that's a beauty. And you saw just a handful. You saw a lot of Wolves fans, obviously.
Saw Walleye.
So I saw a Walleye jersey. That shocked us. And I can't remember the other ones that stuck out to me, but there was sprinkles of them throughout there. I think there was a couple Providence ones too that I remember seeing. But yeah, just a really cool event. Really looking forward to Cleveland next year just to see the difference in the two. But overall, Rockford did a fantastic job of it. Like I said, we'll talk more in Patreon, more in depth, our thoughts. We don't want to, burn it through a whole episode here. We'll make this a 2-hour episode talking about everything we did in Rockford and all the fun stuff. But the AHL did a great job. Rockford did a phenomenal job hosting, and I know it was just a fun event overall for the fans, and loved seeing the coverage of it on like NHL Network and things like that too. And again, credit to those Rockford fans. It made us want to get down there for the next time the Griffins play in Rockford, which, saying that, making a 5-hour drive just for a game seems like a lot, but it's definitely on the to-do list now, just to see that the hostile environment of a true game when the Griffins go there. You could see why some of them get so amped up to play, though. If they like those hostile games like that, you could see why they get amped up quickly.
I don't know if I want to go back, but I definitely tuned in for the next game.
We're going back. Shut up. We're going back.
I watched them play Milwaukee, which was out of division, in a division game, and I don't typically tune in for those. And like I could still hear the crowd, and I was like, they're all their chants and everything. I was just like, I don't know, maybe I just never noticed it before. It didn't click until you're there, and I was just like, wow, okay, like that. Yeah, they are loud, they are ready.
It probably doesn't click because we're used to just watching the games, so focused on like what our team is doing to get like the content up during the game. But when you do step back and watch, yeah, they're loud, they're rambunctious, and you can tell they love their team, they love their guys. And a couple of their guys put on an absolute show in this All-Star game. Like Nick Lardis had an absolutely great week, and I think the coolest thing too is like Jason Megna from Colorado, a veteran player in this league, 5 goals in the All-Star Challenge. Like absolutely insane for him. Super nice guy too. Oh my gosh. He felt so bad because one of his pucks took a weird bounce off another guy's face, and cool selfie posted by him afterwards with 7 stitches in his lip and face there. And he felt so bad for that. And like, it's a hockey game. Like stuff's going to happen. He didn't do it maliciously, but just those nice guys, those nice veteran guys around the league like that. They're so much fun to catch up with. I wish we could have gotten more time to talk to him too. So we know for next year now what to do. And just again, thank you to the Griffins for being so kind to us. And thank you for the league for having us out. And we hope everybody enjoyed the content and the confusion of why the Central Division would pull a goalie with up 3 goals in the last game there. It's based on goals. They needed the 4th goal to make it to the finals. So that's why. There's money in it for them. I think it was $500 per player on the winning team. And they were going to the casino afterwards. Like they wanted that 500. I don't blame them. Anyways, that is all we have this week. When you look at the Griffins' upcoming schedule, we've got a full schedule. They're back in action on Wednesday at home for Winning Wednesday against the Cleveland Monsters, and a $2 beer and $2 dogs Friday night against the Wolves. Then they hit the road immediately after that game to go to Milwaukee on Saturday. So a packed schedule coming up here. March is crazy as well. So like when we get to there, it's going to get even crazy. Like we get some 3-3s those weekend. This schedule is going to start to get really insane as we get to the later part of the season here. It's the fun time. It's the grind. Here we go. We are officially in it as the grind of the playoffs is happening, even though the Griffins probably get to waltz into the playoffs. It's you still want that top spot. You still want that home ice advantage. You want to be playing well at home going into it too. So exciting stuff coming with that, though. That's all we've got, everybody. Before we go, though, we got to thank our sponsors of the show, DraftKings and Everything Hockey Clothing Company. When you're betting with DraftKings, use code THPN. And when you're shopping at everythinghockey.com, use code WEST to save a few bucks off your order. It also directly supports the show. And, of course, as we mentioned, we got to thank our Patreon subscribers as well over at patreon.com/HockeytownWest podcast. They're going to get some bonus content from the All-Star game, a whole bonus episode around it as well. But all those current patrons over there are...
We got Michael Asante, Alan and Lori Fausch, Derek Sleezer, Griffin Not From GR, Elaine Grace, John in Florida, Tyler Ingalls, Darren Swartz, Zach, Peter Grell, Joe Schroeder, and D-Boss's D-Boss.
Thank you all for the love and support. We appreciate you guys. Look forward to these bonus episodes and unedited episodes you guys are going to get and all the bonus content. And we're going to be dropping some giveaways too soon because we've got a bunch of stuff to give away. Thanks, Griffins. We appreciate you guys. Stay tuned for those. We got a ton of fun stuff coming. Tons of updates. The grind doesn't stop, man. We've got so much to do, so much that we're going to do. And I think the All-Star game just amped us up more and more to get more and more stuff out to people. So stay tuned. It's going to be a lot of fun. With that, everybody have a fantastic week. We will talk again soon. But until then, go Griffins, go Walleye.
Love you. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to the Hockeytown West podcast. Be sure to check us out on Twitter at HockeytownWPod and your hosts, Nick at GR Hockey Guy, Brandon at Brandon GR Hockey, and Travis at Trav in T-Town.
That was an excessive buy. Sorry, listeners. Oh my. Good Lord.